Tech Sideline is presented by First Bank and Trust Company, the bank that puts you first. They can meet your banking and financing needs for personal, agricultural, business, commercial, mortgages, and so much more. Visit firstbank.com to learn more.
What's up, Pokey Nation, and welcome into this edition of Talking with Teel, presented by State Farm. Signing day is complete here in Blacksburg. What is going on at Penn State? And what's the deal with the ACC tiebreaker situation? And in hindsight, the college football playoff discussion. All that and much more coming up on this edition of Talking with Teel, which starts right now. And we record on Thursday, December 4th, 2025 from the Tech Solutions Studio in the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center. Remember to like, subscribe, and refer the show to a friend. I'm your host, Carter Hill. To my left, joining us in person is the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, David Teel. Across the way is our managing editor, David Cunningham. Andy Bitter, our senior staff writer, is to his right. And Nick Brown, our director of media, is producing behind the scenes. Teel, welcome back to Blacksburg. It's been an interesting couple of days, but welcome back to the studio. And there's going to be a lot to get into today on this Thursday morning.
Sure.
Crumble cookies. Can we start with Crumble cookies? That's the first thing I want to get off my chest. Crumble cookies at James Franklin's press conference yesterday. And just for those who don't know at this point, so Penn State's coaching search is obviously a mess. Kalani Sitake, the head coach of BYU, is rumored to potentially be the next head coach there. And I guess the Crumble cookie CEO is Jeff McGowan is a huge BYU supporter
and graduate
and grad. And he, I guess, steps in and prevents Mr. Sitake from going to State College. So James Franklin may be leaning into the Crumble cookies bit a little bit in Blacksburg yesterday.
Well, there's so many layers to this, Carter. Number one, McGowan went on social and he riled up the masses and said, I'm going to do it. It's we are going to do this. And let's also remember that BYU has money. I mean, they've got a basketball roster that includes the number one player in the country in A.J. DeBansa. They went out and they paid him, and they've got boosters, and they are well-heeled, and they are willing to spend for athletic success. And in Kalani Sitake, they believe they have this coach. So he gets them all riled up. They keep Sitake. And then some BYU fans DoorDash a bunch of cookies to Pat Kraft, the Penn State athletic director. Fast forward to yesterday, we walk in to James Franklin's Virginia Tech recruiting party, and very intentionally you see an intern or a staffer walking around the tables and placing these very prominent boxes and marked boxes of Crumble cookies throughout the space. And immediately I'm like, this is A+ trolling.
Yeah, James Franklin later is like, oh no, I'm just a really big fan of Crumble cookie. Like it looked like
both of these can be true.
Like it looked like the event was sponsored by Crumble Cookie. Yes. The way that they put this stuff out there, like there was a display by the door when you first came in. Like they didn't just put the cookies out there on the table; they put the boxes out there on the whole thing. So. First of all, the idea that James Franklin later goes on TV is like, I'm just a big fan of Crumble cookies and have been for a while. And this is part of the discussion on signing day. Like, this is why we love college football, right? Yes. Like, this is so, everybody's like, oh, enough of the Crumble cookie stuff. You're like, no, lean into the Crumble cookie.
Yes.
This is so fantastic. This is A+ level trolling.
I'm a big fan of Crumble cookies, by the way, too. Big fan of Crumble cookies.
Yesterday was my first sample. Andy and I split like this double chocolate that was beyond decadent.
I had half of it. I think it was 1,600 calories, probably.
Really?
Ballpark. I don't know about that, but it was pretty rich. But like, this is great. This is why signing day is so stupid and fun in college. Like the people that say don't talk about this, like no, talk about this. This
and whoever thought of door dashing Pat Kraft?
And Virginia, there were some Virginia Tech fans that did it too.
I mean, hat tip, man.
Andy, your tweet is up to 5.5 thousand likes and 2.5 million views. So people are around college football.
Thanks
clearly
to Nick for mentioning
appreciated
that.
it.
Can you read the tweet?
You should tweet that out. I'm
people
like,
haven't
I
seen
didn't
it,
even think
David?
about that.
Andy tweeted, coincidental dessert choice at the Hokies signing day ceremony put on today by James Franklin. And for people wondering, yes, there is a Crumble Cookies in Blacksburg. It's off Price's Fork by the Chipotle. It is kind of new. I actually went there a couple weeks ago before this thing. I went and got dinner downtown with a couple friends and went there, and they were like, "You guys want to get cookies?" I was like, "Sure." So I got a cookie. It was pretty good. Who would have known? That was my first venture into the Crumble
I'll be over
Cookies.
there later today when I go to Tropical Smoothie for my lunch
There you
for
go.
the ride home.
By the way, I should have let off with this too. This is the only podcast you're going to find out there with 3 Virginia Sports Writer of the Year finalists on one set. So this is crazy. We got home from the podcast last Wednesday. I saw that tweet. I was like, yep, on a tee to promote Talking with Teel. So on a tee. Let's talk about signing day a little bit too. We're going to get into a lot of different stuff as we always do on this podcast. And
Sure.
First off, I want to say too, this has been, I know I speak for everybody here, this has been such a fun thing to work on the whole football season. And it's something so different from whatever we've done at Tech Sideline before, because we can talk about Virginia Tech, but we can also talk about the ACC and college football in general. But I do want to lead off with the Hokies because that obviously is getting a lot of, not even just local attention, national attention with what they did yesterday. 247 Sports have Virginia Tech, when James Franklin was hired, 124th in the country from a recruiting class standpoint. They're now 22nd, according to 247 Sports. Tech signs 22 kids, I believe.
Yes.
Flip 11 from Penn State, and James Franklin has certainly brought a haul to Blacksburg.
And David will check me, and he does a far better job than I of following all this, and you all do. 11 from Penn State, 1 from Syracuse, 1 from Wisconsin, 1 from Oklahoma, 1 from James Madison.
And 1 from Kentucky.
1 from Kentucky. That's 16. And then they held on to 6 of the previous
Yeah, there
9.
was 8 or 9. They had 2 or 3 kids that flipped and went elsewhere. But
Okay. Yeah, no, it's remarkable. And yesterday, the first thing that struck me that was different about a James Franklin recruiting production was the millisecond that I walked into the Merriman Center. I was greeted by an army of blue-suited interns, I guess it was.
Like recruited interns.
Yes, and it was good morning, good morning, good morning. Where where do we need to take you? And then I was escorted to a table where I was given my credential, and then I was escorted back to and I'm like, whoa. And this cat's been on the job for like 2+ weeks, and there's this level of engagement and organization and production. It's like, this guy really is a CEO who knows how to marshal the forces and stage a production on darn short notice. And I think we saw that in the compilation and accumulation of this class, that he was able to do it so quickly with a skeleton staff, with ostensibly no assistant coaches on board, except and I think the previous staff deserves some credit here because it sure sounds like they pitched in.
I think what's amazing is this is 17 days from when he was hired to when signing day happened. And you go, if he can do that with that staff in that short amount of time, and yeah, you're recruiting guys that you recruited before, but give him a year with a full staff, actually knowing where stuff is in the building at Virginia Tech when he's recruiting to these guys. What is possible then? If you pulled the number 22 class with this short amount of time, what could you do give it a full year or a couple of years recruiting this region, recruiting these areas, making the relationships? He has those relationships, but further making those relationships with Virginia Tech. I think the sky's the limit for recruiting potential. I never thought that Virginia Tech could be like a top 15 recruiting type school. Just has never really been that way. I think they could under Franklin. If the NIL money is there behind it. Obviously, that's a big component now in this whole thing. But, the way that Franklin recruits, I think he has that potential if there's a financial backing with it.
And Franklin did not shy away from the resource component of all this yesterday.
No.
Yeah.
In his remarks with us over there in the team room, he was lauding all these individuals. And then he immediately pivoted and essentially said, let's not kid ourselves. We got to have the money to pay these guys.
Yeah. Well, I thought he gave a shout out to the recruiting staff that came and helped him from Penn State too. And that's something a couple weeks ago, he right after he was hired, he talked with Bill Roth and Mike Burnup about there's this group of people that came with me. But I do find it very funny that he's not doing it with any assistant coaches. It's him and 8-10 recruiting staffers. And yes, they put in so much work behind the scenes, but usually the assistant coaches are the ones that are helping him pull massive weight. And to your point, I heard that some of these current Virginia Tech assistant coaches, the ones that just finished out their season, were big in flipping some of these guys, some of the in-state guys that they got to stay home. So job well done by everyone, but just kind of crazy that, as you said, 124, I think, to 22, and you finish with a top 25 class, and in terms of blue chip ratio, in terms of just overall talent, number of guys being 4 stars by certain services, this is a very talented class. It's not just a really good class thrown together at the last minute. It's like there's a lot of talent in here as well.
I think one of the most overused and misused words in the language is unique. And Franklin used it multiple times yesterday, but I think he was right. And Andy mentioned this on your pod last night, and I think it's worth reaffirming. Just the confluence of events that had to occur here for all this to happen. The September dismissal of Coach Pry, followed by Penn State's out of left field dismissal of Franklin a month later. Virginia Tech's able to land him 5 weeks later, and then to have this uniquely early National Signing Day, where literally the week that Auburn and Florida and LSU and Arkansas are finishing their searches, James Franklin's had a 2-week running head start with, oh, by the way, essentially a recruiting class in his hip pocket from Penn State to mine. We've never seen anything like this before, and I don't know that we will again.
Yeah. I was gonna bring up your point, Andy. You guys think this is once in a lifetime? The way this is kind of played out?
It's extremely rare.
Yeah.
You'll have coaches that are coming off the sidelines, but like Pat Fitzgerald didn't have a class with him, right?
He's been out of the game for 3 years.
Right. You're going to have to be, it's going to have to be a coach that gets fired early in the season that is still well regarded enough and can retain all these recruits to come with him to the next place. And the previous place has to screw up its own situation enough to allow all those guys to go.
Yeah,
let's not underrate Penn State's role in this whole thing. They have completely mishandled their coaching search, just ham-handed. I mean, if you fire a coach in early October, whenever it was, you should have a coach ready to go the day after the season is done. And they have not done that.
Especially when you are Penn State.
Still searching for a coach. It's no wonder the recruiting class had 2 guys and was ranked 150th in the country.
Yeah, right in front of Prairie View A&M. Yeah. Right in front of Prairie View A&M. Go ahead, David.
I thought David made a great point last night on the pod. The class of 2027, they've got a head start on.
Yeah.
How many guys, prospects, were on campus, especially the Miami weekend?
Yeah, you and I, we talked about it in the press box. And it's like, oh, here's this kid from Tab, and he just happens to be in town.
Right. And there was a quarterback from Southside. I forget who.
Yes.
No, not Southside.
I think he was from Newport News.
Yeah.
Denby, maybe?
Yes, Denby, exactly. And I think this could have, there could be a compound effect here.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing to keep in mind too is you mentioned the event of like Tech firing Pry in September, but also, and we've talked about this before, just the runway from the Board of Visitors. And if Virginia Tech does not have the funds and does not come up with this whole plan, which James Franklin so dutifully outlined in his notebook for the Board of Visitors when they met him, if that doesn't happen and the Hokies don't fire Pry, they don't have the stability, the plan to land Franklin. And it all kind of runs together. And I look at, like, for example, Lane Kiffin leaving and taking the LSU job, which I'm sure we'll talk about. It's not like he's taking Ole Miss's recruiting class with him. Like, Ole Miss is a very good job. A lot of guys want to stay. And Ole Miss quickly turned the page and said, hey, here's our guy. So it's a more stable situation. Like, I think the Penn State situation, they only signed 2 guys yesterday. Yeah. So that situation kind of being an unknown really helped Virginia Tech in this whole situation, because the Hokies were able to flip a bunch of kids and go, well, hey, we know exactly who the coach is, and you've committed to this coach already. Come follow us to Penn State. And what was it? I don't know who it was. Maybe Terry Wiggins, who said this was
Penn State
2.0.
Penn State 2.0.
Yeah, it was the money quote.
Yeah, it was great. Susie said that's like, thank you, Terry Wiggins. That was exactly what we wanted there. It's funny. You look at the timeline of this whole thing. It feels like James Franklin has been here for a while. Like, I saw a tweet the other day. It was like, Alex Golish is being announced at a basketball game. I'm like, Virginia Tech did that weeks ago. Like, they are so far ahead of the game in terms of where you are and the new coaching. You know, that every new coach goes and introduces himself at a basketball game. But Franklin did that 3 weeks ago, knocked that out, and now he was out here recruiting and stuff. Golish hasn't had a chance to do all that in time for signing day. He was still trying to figure out where his office was at that point. Like,
and by the way, he's still trying to coach a conference championship game.
Exactly.
Yeah. And look at Summerall at
Summerall, Florida, Morrison, North Texas.
I saw yesterday, John Summerall was tweeting about Florida and Tulane's recruiting classes at the same time. It's like some of these coaches are balancing everything, and James Franklin has hit the ground running 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Summerall, Tulane, Morrison, North Texas, I should say. Morris is going to Oklahoma State. So 2 outgoing coaches in the American Conference Championship game on Friday. But so speaking of Penn State, what are they doing? Like, what's going on? 53 days. That's what their coaching search is at. What's ironic is 4 other Power 4 jobs opened up in college football this week. They are all filled. Michigan State, Kansas State allegedly, Kentucky, and what's the 4th one? 4th Power 4 job that opened this week, and I wrote 4 down. What else opened up this weekend?
I can't remember.
Michigan State.
These one-day coaching searches
Kentucky
are not fair.
Yeah. Oh, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
These one-day coaching searches are not fair to the rest of us. They had to endure like weeks of this stuff and rumors and chasing flights, and they're like, we fire this guy. Oh, we're bringing in this guy right after it. It's like, come on, that's not fair.
It is good for business. What is Penn State doing though? Like, at this point, are they just going to hire Terry Smith? I mean, there's been some rumors about Brian Dable, which is interesting. Do you get Matt Campbell involved? Manny Diaz?
I don't know why they haven't talked to Matt Campbell.
Okay.
Like, am I insane here? I think he's a great coach. I thought Virginia Tech, if James Franklin had become available, I thought Virginia Tech should have gone after Matt Campbell. I think he's a really good coach. What he's done at Iowa State, like, not a traditional power there. He's a Midwest guy like that. Mm-hmm. You know, went to Mount Union, I believe, for college. Like, I feel like he would be a fit at Penn State. And I don't know if that's no interest on his part or no interest on Penn State's part, but it seems very bizarre to me.
Yeah. Pat Kraft, the AD, is going to have some people to answer to. And it's kind of reminiscent. Andy and I were talking about this in the press room yesterday of Tennessee's infamous coaching search in 2016,
17, I think it was.
It was in that range where they wanted to hire Schiano, and then there was an uproar, and then Philip Fulmer undercut Curry. Curry gets fired. Fulmer becomes the AD.
There's like a Mike Leach day in there.
Yeah, and then he ends up hiring Jeremy Pruitt. That's a disaster. You know, this has that type of vibe to it. And it's to think that a school of that repute with those kind of resources could screw it up this badly. Now, if they find somebody who then wins, who cares how the sausage got made? But right now, the optics in Happy Valley are unhappy.
Watch Alabama lose the SEC title game. Like, DeBoer pulls the parachute and goes there, and they get DeBoer out of this whole thing. It's like, talk about like lucking your way into a good situation. I mean, right now it looks bad. I mean, you can make up one bad signing class like that. The transfer portal's out there. You can get guys like that, but you have egg on your face right now. I mean, it's just, this is supposed to be one of the blue blood programs out there. And how many coaches out there have gotten raises or extensions?
Did you see the On3 tweet yesterday? On3 tweeted, Penn State's search has netted other coaches an estimated $370.8 million in extension money.
Well, Brent Key and Jeff Brom just in the past couple days.
Yeah, but I think Mike Elko as well. Yeah. Like, the list goes on and on about, I think, guys.
Drinkwitz, he got it.
Drinkwitz, about guys that they wanted to pursue and struck out on, and Sataki. Like, I mean, the list goes on, and it's like all these candidates, and Penn State can't get them.
Right. Wake Forest just signed Jake Dicker to an extension after 1 year.
Like I said, I'm calling it right now. He's at Wisconsin next year. I'm calling it right now. Wisconsin's next coach for 2027.
I wouldn't mind that.
No, he's a good coach. He's a good coach. So, do you think Sataki, like, did they think Sataki was coming? I think it got to that point, it seemed like, reading the tea leaves. Did they think Sataki was coming?
I think they were upset that the news got out there that quickly.
Okay.
I think they were hoping they could get through the championship game and then announce it right after that or something like that.
Yeah, but I think they thought he was coming. And that's why BYU made such a big push, because it seemed like he was on his way out, and BYU said, whoa, let's wait a sec. Like, we'll do whatever you want. And they rallied the troops. And this whole Penn State thing is so interesting because you tack on the element that Terry Smith, the interim head coach, good chance he joins James Franklin's staff, assuming he does not get the permanent head coaching job, which seems kind of unlikely. On top of a handful of other assistants. I mean, that was James Franklin's ship for so long. Most of these guys, once Penn State, I assume, finishes out the bowl game that it's playing in, assuming it goes to a bowl, will come join James Franklin, you would think, or at least have the opportunity to. So it's like, this is why this whole situation is so interesting, because players, coaches, it's like Hokies are kind of tied with Penn State right now until this new coach is hired and there's really a true breakaway from it.
What if Duke wins the ACC and doesn't make the college football playoff, and Manny Diaz is sitting out there? Former defensive coordinator. Pretty good success so far. I mean, he's hired him. That guy's hired him before, correct? He was at Temple.
Yes.
The AD.
Yeah,
Manny Diaz never coached there. He turned around and took the Miami job right after that. But I don't know what the relationship is like there because of that. But it's probably pretty understood as an AD.
Manny Diaz was going home to Miami to prestigious job, Temple, Miami. Come on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, what if that's the solution to this whole thing?
I think they could do worse than Manny Diaz at this point. I think they absolutely
Manny
could.
Diaz can coach now. And Manny Diaz this will make a nice segue. Manny Diaz can lobby all he wants for his potentially 8-5 team to make the college football playoff.
It ain't happening.
Please.
No, we're gonna talk quite a bit about that. I want to slip one more thing in about Penn State regarding kind of what we've talked about the whole football season. Are you surprised they didn't take a swing at Bob Chesney at that point? And did he go ahead and jump at the UCLA job because he thought that Penn State was getting Kalani Sitake?
It sounds from people I've talked to that UCLA locked in on Bob Chesney pretty quickly, and more quickly than people realized. And Rick Neuheisel, who if anyone is sourced up at UCLA, it is Rick Neuheisel. He said on the air at CBS, it's got to be at least 2 weeks ago. It might even
right before the Franklin hire.
It might have been 3 Saturdays ago. He said, I'm hearing Bob Chesney at UCLA, and I was like, okay, this is really serious.
It's legit if he's saying
yes. Former quarterback, former coach, whose son just happens to be the offensive coordinator. So at that point, I thought, okay, Chesney's made up his mind, and Penn State's moving in a different direction.
Seems like a weird fit, doesn't it?
Yes.
Chesney in LA, everything has been Northeast.
Yes, on a couple different levels. Geographically, although I'm not sure how much that plays into things anymore. Although on the flip side, clearly it's helped Franklin here, given his DMV roots. Chesney will fit right in Westwood and Hollywood. I mean, that guy is stylish and young and vibrant and energetic. He'll be fine that way. UCLA's, it's not a good job as currently constructed. It's an expensive place to live for not only the coach, but his staff. So you've got to pony up for your staff just to make it worth their while to come with. Then you're right cross town with USC. you're always going to be second fiddle to them. Not only them, it's a pro town with so much going on with the Dodgers and pro football. And, oh, by the way, arguably, one of the top 2 brands in all of professional basketball with the Lakers. They're in a lawsuit or a potential lawsuit to get out of their Rose Bowl lease so they can move their home games to SoFi. There's just so much noise around that program.
And they play in the Big Ten.
Yes. Yeah, right. And so they're mismatched there. It's a peculiar job.
It just doesn't seem like UCLA's really supported football all that well over the last handful of years either.
Oh, no, it's longer than that, David. It's much longer than that. And they're going to have to, and I have to believe that Chesney is not going there without assurances that they will.
Yeah, and this is easier for me to say, obviously, but, he's making, in the real world, good money at JMU, but they're going to quadruple his salary, if not more, at UCLA.
More than that.
At UCLA. With that being said, we've talked down about the UCLA job pretty much this entire football season. Are you in the slightest surprised he didn't say, okay, I'll wait it out next season and see if maybe South Carolina, NC State, Wisconsin, Florida State would be interested in my services?
I think you could make the argument that would have been the play. But I thought the same thing when Curt Cignetti went to Indiana.
I mean,
I thought, what is he thinking?
Yeah.
Nothing's stopping from Chesney from up and leaving after next year. Let's be honest.
True.
With some of these contracts, these buyouts aren't onerous. Like, it's not going to stop anybody from moving if they don't want to. Jake Dicker took the Wake Forest job. He probably could have left this year if he wanted to. I imagine people talked to him at least, and he re-upped at Wake Forest. But I feel like there's mobility there for these coaches. That I think if I were at one of those Group of 5 ones and I've made something out of that program, my fear would be that I would hold on too long, and then I would no longer be the hot property at that level. I think you strike while the iron's hot there. You get out to what you can, and then go from there. Because I think if you stick around too long, then all of a sudden. What's the guy at Toledo that's been there for
Jason Candle?
Yeah.
He's been there, 12 years? Yeah. A long time. It feels like, well, why hasn't anybody hired him at this point? I feel like you kind of get that label if you've been in a place like that too long.
Yeah. Chesney's in for culture shock, obviously, in so many different ways with Harrisonburg to Hollywood. But in Harrisonburg, and we'll see it tomorrow night with the championship game, I mean, JMU football matters to that community. And it's a community, and everyone's into it, and the town and the students and the faculty. He's not going to find that at UCLA.
No. And I feel like Andy's made the reference before that JMU football is very similar to VCU men's basketball.
Oh, with its coaching pipeline?
In that sense. Well, just that they always seem to find a very good coach, and that the program is well sustained, well resourced, and the ADs always seem to find the next person to kind of put on top of that cake, and it's kind of, you obviously have to do a good job as a coach, but that it's already set up well for success. And yeah, it's going to be interesting where JMU goes now from here.
Yeah, because this is Matt Roan's first swing.
Yes.
He's the new athletic director, a former Virginia Tech football player. And Jeff Bourne, the former AD and a former Virginia Tech administrator, always leaned into hiring sitting head coaches. He often said to me, I do not want on-the-job training. And he was determined that way, and that's what led to the Bob Chesney hire. That's what led to the Curt Cignetti hire. And it will be interesting if Roan takes the same approach, a different approach. There are some quality assistants out there with regional and James Madison ties. Corey Heatherman, the Miami defensive coordinator, is a former JMU assistant. Brian Haynes at Indiana was on Curt Cignetti's staff at JMU. I've seen Anthony Poindexter, Penn State assistant, mentioned as a possibility at James Madison. But then there are former head coaches out there. The offensive coordinator at Navy, Drew Connick, is a former head coach at Mercer. And voluntarily, he didn't get fired at Mercer. He went from Mercer to Navy as offensive coordinator. Now, James Madison is clearly a better head coaching position than Mercer. Might he be interested in being his own boss again? Yeah. So Matt Rohn has a good job to sell.
Yes.
Among the group of 5 jobs that I think South Florida is arguably the best group of 5 job out there, just given the region, the resources and such. Tulane has been a pretty consistent winner, but Rohn's not going to have any shortage of quality candidates to look at.
So we mentioned the Duke situation, and I know you want to get to this, and this is something that has gotten a lot of attention this week across college football, but so Duke's in the ACC title game. It's Duke and Virginia, and I think it got to the point where we all expected Virginia to be there, and they do deserve to be there at 7-1. But Duke, so they win a 5-way tie at 6-2 to get that second spot in the ACC title game. And again, I want to be very clear. The rules are the rules. Like Manny Diaz and Duke, under the current system, that's how it should play out. It's not their fault. But you wrote this, I believe, in your column the other day that I read. Amongst those 5 teams that tied for that second spot, Duke was probably the least qualified.
Yes.
They go 7-5. And they're probably the only one in that group. I don't know if you guys would agree, but they're probably the only one in that group that if they win the ACC title, the ACC will likely get left out of the college football playoff in its entirety. How did we get to this point from an ACC standpoint?
A bizarre, again, confluence of events. You have a flawed tiebreaker. Now let's keep in mind, there's no such thing as a perfect tiebreaker when you have these bloated conferences. Each of the Power 4 has the same tiebreakers as the ACC. This is not an ACC problem. The ACC is just the first one to get bitten in the backside by this tiebreaker. The tiebreaker that settled the 5-way tie in the ACC that sent Duke to Charlotte is the same one that settled the 4-way tie atop the SEC that sent Georgia and Alabama to that title game. Combined winning percentage in conference of all your conference opponents. What no one foresaw, and rightfully so, is that you would have a team tied and in contention for your conference championship game that was so bad in the non-conference. Duke is only the 3rd ACC team in the last 25 years to win at least 6 conference games and lose 3 non-conference games. And oh, by the way, let's remember, it ain't like they were playing Notre Dame and Michigan and Ohio State. They lost to Tulane, good team.
After taking their quarterback.
Right.
Yes.
They lost to UConn, 9-3, but come on, look at UConn's schedule. And they lost to Illinois. And they beat an FCS. And oh, by the way, in that 5-way tie, Duke is the only one among those 5 who did not beat one of the other 4.
That's the problem I have with the tiebreaker. Is it gets to opponents' winning percentage. And Duke lost to Virginia and lost to Georgia Tech, the 2 teams at the top, but they get credit for playing them.
Yes.
It's like, shouldn't it be winning, like record against opponents' winning percentage of teams that you beat? Like, don't get credit just for playing them. Like, they were the only one that had Virginia of all those teams in the tiebreaker, and that probably put them over the top. Mm-hmm. It seems dumb. That's how they set it up in the first place. I mean, the problem is that the conferences are too big and they don't play each other enough. my solution, which I've said many times, I'll trump it again. I think they should have an ACC semifinals and then a championship round after that. I don't think it'll ever get to that point, but that's what I'm gonna the table I will pound that they want to do with this thing. But they've got to fix this, and it seems like what was the league? I think it was the Mountain West that did the combination of analytics or rankings and just picked the best team based on that. When they had a 4-way tie, I believe it was. Yeah. That seems a lot more sensible to me than how they're doing this.
Yeah, that's the one that landed on Vegas and Boise.
And if they did that, it'd be Virginia, Miami.
Yes, and that's what the game should be. You have literally shut out clearly the best team in the league is Miami. Come on, who are we kidding? And they're not even going to play in your championship game. That's a problem, and I'm almost certain they will address it in the offseason. Now, something like this could never happen again. They couldn't have foreseen somebody going 1-3 in the non-league and being tied for second place in the conference.
Well, and I mean, you brought it up, Carter. The worst situation here is that Duke beats Virginia despite getting waxed in Durham a couple weeks ago.
And then if James Madison wins tomorrow night.
and the ACC's on the outside looking in because you let and I think Duke will have deservedly won the title, but then you've let a team that you could argue shouldn't have been in there ruin your chances to even make the playoff. So this would be the second time in 3 years that the ACC would have a permanent playoff scar. Yeah.
I mean, 2 years ago, you become the first conference to have your undefeated champion left out of a 14 playoff. Not that was the ACC's fault. That's on the selection committee. This year, you could be the first power conference left out of a 12-team playoff, but that would be more because of what you did with your tiebreaker.
Let's not sit here and act like it's like, oh man, if Duke could pull this huge monumental upset, they're 4-point underdogs.
It could happen.
It's not really that. I mean, the fact that Virginia, everybody's like, well, Virginia earned its way in and Duke just backdoored in. It's like, well, they're kind of the same team when you look at. I know the result a couple weeks ago, but Vegas does not think these teams are that vastly different.
That's interesting, Andy. I sat in the press box and watched that game. The only reason it was 34-17 is that Duke scored 2 late fourth quarter touchdowns. I mean, it was a drubbing from the start. And Manny Diaz even said on a media call with us Sunday night, we could not block them. I mean, Mensah had his worst game. It was Duke's worst game. Mensah had no time to throw. They couldn't run it. And Duke's pass defense is terrible. Chandler Morris was not sacked, picked them apart. Trell Harris had a huge day. Jamari Taylor ended up breaking a run late. And, man, having sat there and watched that and think, and that was at Duke, not that it's a great home field advantage, but to think that Virginia's only 4.5?
This is the ACC. Like, just when you think you have it figured out, it's going to go the opposite direction. I mean, we were sitting here last week. It's like Cal is not, with an interim coach, Cal's not going to beat SMU.
And they did.
Sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
And you talk about one of the the reasons we love this crazy sport. Think about it. Matt Rohn and Bob Chesney at JMU, the AD and head coach, are texting wildly back and forth with one another last Saturday night during the Cal SMU game because they're like, go Cal. And then Matt Rohn tweets
Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
He tweets go Duke and then in parentheses with an S with the gif of Marshawn Lynch driving the golf cart all over it was perfect.
Oh, and the three of us were in the press box at Scott Stadium watching the end of that. I mean, there were probably like 20 people that gathered around the TV to watch the end of the Cal SMU game. I mean, that's just,
So Chesney and Roan were texting back and forth while Chesney was probably texting with his agent in UCLA, setting up the college football. Gotta love it.
Yeah. So Duke to get in would need to win and probably need JMU and UNLV to lose, do you think? UNLV plays Boise State.
We don't know how they would rank those teams.
Yeah. JMU plays Troy, just to clarify.
JMU is a 22-point favorite.
I saw
Would you
that.
put it beyond the committee? Do you think the committee would absolutely not jump Duke over JMU if Duke were to win?
5 losses.
I'm saying Duke beating Virginia, is that better than any win that JMU has this year?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say there's a 0% chance, but I would be surprised.
That's just I just think
they disrespect these Group of 5 conferences so much.
Yeah.
I feel like I would not put it past them to do. Like, we don't know where they would rank Duke right now. What if Duke is 26th in the rankings? Like, probably not. Probably not. But what if they are not that far behind JMU right now and they look at that?
Andy, I don't think the name Duke has appeared on a laptop in Grapevine, Texas
I don't
during
think so either.
during any of their deliberations.
For good reason.
Correct.
It's
But if the choice comes down to whether they're going to give it to a power conference school or just completely push aside the Group of 5 leagues, like they have the entire time that they've shown no respect. Like JMU and Tulane have had to do everything possible just to get in the rankings at like 24th and 25th or whatever. I wouldn't put it past them to jump Duke over a team like that. If it's like an unimpressive JMU victory, say Duke just goes out and hammers Virginia or something like that. Like, well, they're playing so well here at the end of the year, you have to reward them for this situation.
You do make a good point about the committee's reluctance with JMU, because the Dukes have been the highest ranked G5 team, and in some cases the only ranked G5 team in the AP and coaches polls for a month now. And throughout that month, the last 5 to 6 teams in that 20 to 25 range in the CFP have kept losing and kept losing and kept losing. And still no JMU. And finally this week, both JMU and North Texas popped in.
Oh, yes, North Texas got it.
North Texas at 24, JMU at 25, Tulane's at 20. So clearly the Tulane North Texas winner will get the automatic G5 playoff spot.
Okay.
The only question is whether if it came down to James Madison or Duke as the 5th highest ranked conference champion.
Yeah.
I think it would not shock me. I know he won't do it, but it would not shock me if you saw Jim Phillips wearing a UVA tie in Charlotte on Saturday. I mean, the ACC needs UVA to win that game. And that's crazy. But I mean, you have to, especially with how much revenue comes in for the I mean, you talk about just the big picture of the league having to have someone in the playoff, and it's like it comes down to one game, but we'll see.
Well, they've been running that Miami Notre Dame game on a loop on the ACC network. Mm-hmm.
Like, coincidental? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, heavens no. And I think that's an argument worth having, although I think the ACC is going to lose it. Miami beat them on the field, and to me that would be the determining factor. I think we can all agree 2 things. Hunter Yurachek has been the worst spokesperson.
You didn't like the 6'7"? You didn't like the 6'7"?
For the selection committee. And number 2, just stop. Stop with the shows.
Yeah. Well, I think every one of them has been bad
but
in that situation, because they're defending
gotten worse.
They're defending the indefensible.
Yeah.
Right. And it feels like they're, retrofitting their argument to how the rankings, how they want the rankings to come out. And, oh, this week it's game control, or this week it's big wins, or something like that. At least this year, I'll give them credit for this. They haven't boxed themselves in by saying idle teams are locked. they can't move. Like that was the thing last year. It's like, okay, well, if this team's behind this one, that's not going to move. They say this year, idle teams are not locked because their resumes can still change based on results this week. So we'll see how that turns out. But I feel like whoever's in that position, it's not like they're going to come out and like made some good arguments there. You're going to piss off some segment of the fan bases out there in the country.
And what's difficult or almost impossible is that the chairman, he doesn't know how the votes went. All the balloting is done privately on your laptop. Nobody knows how the other people in the room voted or why. Maybe they can get a sense from the debate in the room, but for some person to have to say, this is why this now 12 members, since one person had to take a leave of absence, committee has decided things is a pretty impossible task.
Well, I thought it was I was covering the men's basketball game at South Carolina on Tuesday night when the rankings came out, and I was just seeing the news on Twitter, and I thought it was kind of a joke. But this is a direct quote from Juracek talking about the reason to put Alabama above Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. Quote, and this is Nicole Auerbach tweeted this, quote, Alabama in a rivalry game on the road, Auburn has been an extremely tough place to play for many teams this year, such as Georgia and Vanderbilt. The committee gave Alabama respect for winning that game.
And they didn't move Miami, who beat Pitt, who was ranked at the time on the road by 4 touchdowns.
I don't want to say it's like moving the goalpost, but that's what
it is.
That's kind of what it feels like. Yeah. And grasping at straws in terms of, hey, this is how we feel, and the way they are explaining it, it's like you can't. It's bad explanation. So
he also mentioned Alabama's gutsy 4th down call, which was interesting.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Like if they converted on 3rd down, they would not have been as impressed. Like
I guess
it
not.
took a 4th down. Like, they failed on 3rd down, but they got it on 4th down, and now we're impressed against Auburn. Like Auburn of all teams. Like why does Alabama get credit for playing against 5 and 7 teams or whatever it is? Like Auburn is not a good team. They get credit for beating them. Florida State is not a great team. That's not looked upon as just this absolutely damaging loss. They just kind of hand wave it as, that was week 1. It still counts. They still played that game.
But clearly they're not counting any results from that week because Notre Dame.
It's very strange.
Miami.
And then they turn around and like the Miami thing, the way they talk about the SMU and Louisville losses, you would think that these are like the dregs of the ACC. Like these are the worst teams. Like they lost to Louisville and SMU. Like those are pretty good teams. Like
Alabama lost to a worse ACC team.
If you did out the rankings, what would SMU be ranked? Like high 20s?
SMU was ranked last week before it lost
like
to
they'd
Cal.
be in the 20s. Like you can't treat this like, oh my gosh, it's a terrible loss. Like that's the thing I don't understand is like top 25, great. Anything outside the 25, garbage. It's like, well, team 24 and 26 are essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
So just the way they cut off some of these metrics, it's very weird to me.
Yeah, the Notre Dame Miami thing, I hope it doesn't get to that point. But if it does, you got to factor in head-to-head. Because if you don't, what are we playing the games for?
Well, here's the thing. So BYU and Alabama win. They're both out.
Yeah, probably so. Because Texas Tech's not going to drop out, you don't think.
I mean, BYU would be a bid thief. They would take the 3rd power conference one. Texas Tech would stay in, and then you would have 2 more conferences that would be in after that. It could be Virginia and then a group of 5 or 2 group of 5s after that if Duke wins. And then, you got Notre Dame at 10, they're out. You got Miami at 12, they're out.
Yeah. Virginia,
so this could solve the problem.
Virginia, I'm just picturing Virginia being in the playoff and Notre Dame and Miami being left out.
Notre Dame, Miami can take their beef to the Gator Bowl or something like that. They
should duke it out for a second time.
Somebody should. I mean, I know Notre Dame probably still has some ACC bowl tie-ins, but
they still do.
That'd be hilarious if you could pair Notre Dame and Miami back up again and just say settle it on the field.
All right, we're going to step aside momentarily. We got plenty more to get to. Lane Kiffin, Virginia Tech staffing potential news potentially coming up, and then a couple things on the roster, and then maybe a little bit of hoops as well. So thanks for tuning in. Stick with us on this edition of Talking with Teel, presented by State Farm. Switching is easy. We do it all the time. We switch on the lights. We switch TV channels. Some of us switch partners while square dancing. Well, that's a stretch. But what's not a stretch is how you can switch and save with State Farm. In fact, a group of State Farm agents that support TechSideline.com can switch you over to State Farm so you can start saving today. These State Farm agents and their team are ready to welcome you to the State Farm neighborhood. Check out Tech Sideline for the agent in your area. It's easy to switch and save. Just give them a call. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right, and welcome back to this edition of Talking with Teel, presented by State Farm. Another hot topic on the show the last couple of weeks has been Lane Kiffin. He did indeed leave for LSU, in case anybody missed that out there, because that is dang near impossible to the way the last couple of weeks have played out. But just kind of everybody's thoughts on the Lane Kiffin situation. And just to kind of segue, what an insane couple weeks for college football. An insane last week in college football. Ole Miss fans trying to run Lane Kiffin off the road. He's bolting before the playoffs. You got Big Hokie Guy 12 tracking Bud Foster's playing here in Blacksburg. You got Arkansas fans protesting Ryan Silverfield outside their facility. Crumble cookies getting sent to Penn State's facility. Just awesome couple weeks in football. But everybody's take on the Lane Kiffin situation and how that was handled across the board.
Bravo to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Punt him. Send him packing, man. You want him in your building, going to one of your blood rivals in your own league. You want him in your building and around your players, and Lane trying to make it, they want me. Apparently not so much.
The players, some of the players had tweeted that they were like, this is not true. Ask anybody in that room.
Right.
It's a pretty audacious play by Lane to be like, what's the big deal? I wanted to coach the playoff here. It's like, no, it's a very big deal, Lane. And then their point is like, well, Sumrall's going to do it if he makes the playoff, and Chesney too. It's like kind of different.
A lot.
Not coaching in the same conference, not going after the same players, not leaving in the same manner.
And it feels like both of them have been honest about their situations.
Yes, have been totally transparent. So has, and I know Chesney has been so, not only with his athletic director, but also his team. His team knows. Everybody in Harrisonburg knows what's going on. And
they all want a ticket to UCLA too.
Yeah, and nobody resents anything that's going on in those three places. This was of Lane's doing, and now he reaps the just consequences. Get your ass out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody can blame Ole Miss for how they handled that situation. I was a little bit surprised they promoted their interim for an hour as quickly as they did, but if you're Ole Miss, you can't have them coaching the playoff. To kind of add on to your point, I know, David, you maybe had something too. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I couldn't find the tweet, but I saw somebody rank, just like, they were like, where does this rank in the Lane Kiffin saga of like his exits? And you've got like...
He never exits well.
No, it's like, the
tarmac firing.
The tarmac. And
he left Tennessee after a year. The Alabama got fired basically on the eve of the national championship when he was going to FAU.
Saban couldn't take it anymore.
And let's not forget that he sent Sebastian Janikowski out
to
attempt a 76-yard field goal when he was with the Raiders.
Hey, if there's a kicker that could have made it, I think it was 70.
But he was getting fired, and he was trolling the Davis family. And
this is what he does.
Yes,
Lane Kiffin is a walking troll. I mean, that's like, and he's a really good football coach, but like,
and a content machine.
But you see his Twitter. It's like, I think Ole Miss fans were pissed off for a while because Lane Kiffin still had like head coach of Ole Miss # come to the SIP in his Twitter bio for a very long time. But like, it's crazy. Like within the hour after him landing, he's talking to the #1 recruit in the country that's committed to LSU, and just the whole saga. I thought Marty Smith covered it very well for ESPN, and listening to him talk about, I think it was on McAfee, about just like going to the airport, weaving around fire trucks they had blocked off the road, going to get the Lane Kiffin interview. Just the way Lane's handled this entire thing, it's like, kind of like you did that to yourself, man.
Yeah.
Like, maybe could have asked some more incisive questions of Lane at the airport there. I think it was more of a PR situation. Lane, to me, he did like this Ole Miss like documentary or something like that, talking about I found peace at Ole Miss.
I was with Marty McGee.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
he's kind of like Ricky Bobby's dad in that movie where he just has to burn it all down.
Which movie are we talking about?
What's the Will Ferrell, the NASCAR one?
Oh,
I'm blanking on it.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Talladega Nights.
Talladega.
And Ricky Bobby's dad is like this deadbeat dad, and finally reconnects with his son, and they're having like a nice dinner at Applebee's. And then he has to blow it. He has to blow it all up because he's just like a wild card and has to go out there. I feel like that's Lane Kiffin. Like, he had this great situation at Ole Miss. He's like, I got to throw chaos into this whole thing. I have to leave. I have to burn it down and start all over. Like, he does that. That's just how he does it every place he goes. He obviously loves the attention. He can act like he doesn't, but he loves the attention. You wouldn't be doing all this stuff if you didn't like the attention. What? So, I think he'll be at LSU for a couple of years, and then he'll probably have some acrimonious exit again, and we'll be talking about him again.
Well, if he doesn't win a natty within 4 years, he'll be unemployed.
Yeah. They'll fire him.
I don't know. The governor was very adamant about not handing out these ridiculous contracts with buyouts. Then what do? They give him $100 million contract, basically. It's like, well, so much for that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think in his press conference he mentioned that the Ole Miss fans tried to run me off the road, and it's like, I don't think anyone in Oxford, Mississippi feels any sympathy for you.
Well, you remember when he returned to Tennessee and they threw a bunch of stuff on the field, and he picked up a golf ball. He held onto the golf ball into the post game. It's like, they threw this at me. It's like he's such a drama queen about this stuff.
By the way, LSU goes to Ole Miss and to Tennessee next season.
That's great.
That's going to be drama. But he's also, did you see the tweet that somebody's tweeted that it was a rack of Lane Kiffin shirts, and they threw
dry cleaning.
Yeah, they put it outside.
Put it on the tarmac out there.
This is college football at its finest.
Yep. Yeah. The Lane Kiffin thing, that was in 2021 at Tennessee. He's doing his post-game interview with Cole Kubelek, and he's like, Coach, how'd it feel to walk away with the win? He's like, I don't know if I'm more happy that we won or I didn't get hit by a golf ball. And he pulls it out of his pocket. It was awesome. I remember watching that.
He knows how to play to a crowd.
Yes, he does.
I'll give him that.
Imagine, though, you're Pete Golding. Your first game as a head coach is going to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah. But it seemed like
perhaps against UVA.
Wow.
Ole Miss is sitting.
And that would be a home game, probably.
Yes, Ole Miss is sitting there in the 6th seed, and Virginia would be the 11.
Ooh.
If Virginia makes the field, Virginia will be the 11. Of that, we are certain.
If Alabama beats Georgia, though, would they jump Ole Miss in the seeding?
That would be the question. And then if
BYU beats
Texas Tech, how far might Texas Tech fall? Right.
Sounds like you might have some. Can you imagine you getting to go to Oxford in a couple of weeks to cover UVA at Ole Miss? And
good luck on the hotel room. It's tough I've covered a couple games there.
I heard you gotta stay in Tupelo.
We were in Tupelo a couple times. We've covered it.
I do find it so funny though, just like the response from the Ole Miss players. They're like, we got our guy in Pete Golding. It'll be very interesting to see how many guys. I mean, they've obviously got a lot to play for, so nobody's leaving because they're going to be in the college football playoff. Such a unique situation, leaving your team right before you're going to go play in the college football playoff. But I wonder how many of those guys are actually going to follow Kiffin.
You think some,
but they're going to wait. I mean, it'll be in late January, way after they finish their playoff run, you would think. So I don't know.
I don't think they'll have any qualms about doing that.
No, but
I follow the meal ticket there rather than the first time head coach.
Just such a peculiar situation where it's like, oh, I'd like to coach both teams, and it's like, who in their right mind would let you coach two teams at once, considering you're in the same conference?
Yeah. Well, and then he puts out that statement, or I guess talks to the media during his press conference. He's like, well, I didn't know till Sunday morning they weren't going to let me coach. And then Keith Carter, their AD at Ole Miss, goes on some radio show yesterday and is like, he knew weeks in advance. That was never an option.
That was the whole point of them making him come to a decision.
Yeah.
Right. After the Egg Bowl.
It's the woe is me card.
Yeah. He did play the victim more than he probably should have, but that's
he played the victim as much as he wanted to play the victim.
Yes. On Virginia Tech, real fast, are we surprised we haven't heard anything about the coaching staff yet for James Franklin? At least in terms of the retention that he's going to.
Well, I think part of it is, I heard earlier this week that it sounded like Monday, Tuesday was when he was informing the basically figuring out who he wanted to keep from the current staff, like informing them. So I would expect coaching news soon, but I think you also don't want to overshadow signing day.
Yeah, he's been so busy.
It's a pretty small window between season end Saturday night, signing day on Wednesday. There are other priorities that you got to get done before that. I would imagine everybody knows on the current staff whether they're coming back, and I would imagine that he has a pretty good idea what direction he wants to go with other staffers, and has probably told some of these recruits. I can't imagine they're completely in the dark about who they're going to be playing for or what kind of offense or defense they'll be in. So next couple days here, I would imagine some news.
All right, so who on the roster? I think you wrote about this last week, Andy. Who on the roster are you trying to retain? You're probably going like down a tier list, like these are the 10 guys you absolutely have to keep, the next 10 that you'd like to keep, and then so on and so forth. But I guess kind of who in you all's mind are you absolutely trying to keep if you're James Franklin at Virginia Tech?
I think Kamari Copeland was the one guy that made an all-ACC team. Mm-hmm. I think you definitely want to try to keep him. Some of the young guys that showed out this year, I'm looking at like Jeffrey Overton, Noah Chambers, guys like that. I still think Caleb Woodson has high potential at linebacker. He had a bad year. Obviously got off to a weird start, and I don't think he ever really got back to the level that he could possibly play at. But he's a guy who would be a senior next year. That I think you want those type of players on your defense. Quentin Reddish would be another one that I think would make a lot of sense there. Marcellus Hawkins.
I was going to say Hawkins.
He really impressed me this year. Like like defying expectations. Like who this Division II guy coming up here? It's like they know what they're looking for in a running back. They've had a lot of success with that. So those are some guys off the top of my head that I would definitely try to retain.
Do any of the O linemen stick around, or does that all depend on the coach?
Johnny
depends on.
Maybe?
I don't think you want to completely go out and have to buy a whole new offensive line. So you look at somebody like Altuner, center. If you could retain Altuner for 4 years here, like how many 4-year starting centers ever happen?
Yeah.
I know Garrett didn't have a great year, but he's a veteran offensive tackle. And even if he doesn't play left tackle, if you find somebody to play that spot, tackle depth was horrible this year, and that really showed up on the team. I think just having a guy that's been here 5 years, that's been in the program, that's been in a weight room that many years, I think that'd be beneficial to keep a guy like that.
Yeah. He's a Matt Moore guy, though. So it feels like, he followed Moore from West Virginia. So that's what it's like. If Matt Moore is no longer the offensive line coach, how many of these guys will stay? And the Hokies have had, this would be the Hokies, if the Hokies have a new O-line coach, it'll be like the 5th in the last 7 years, something like that.
It's been a lot.
It's just, there's been so much turnover at the position. Part of the reason why Brent Pry is no longer employed at Virginia Tech is because he could never get that position right. So
and this will be 5 in 5 years. Ooh. If you go Vice, Rudolph, Crook, Moore, and
Crook
then
was here for 2, I think.
So 5 and 6.
5 and 6.
Crook was here for 2.
Okay, well, yeah.
Same point. Still
a lot
stands,
of coaches,
100%.
Yeah,
and then
100%.
whoever they would hire new. So that's not a spot that you want to completely reshuffle every year. Like you want some continuity there. You want guys to stay in the program. You look at why they take 7 guys on the offensive line in signing day. They got to rebuild the numbers there. They don't want to fall behind on that. And part of that is because they've had this carousel of coaches at that spot.
Yeah. I think Penn State's offensive line coach, certainly one to watch. But that's why you talk about the coaching staff, Carter. It's like, I don't know how much of the guys coming over can be announced because Penn State still got a bowl game to play.
Yeah.
And
like, Penn State doesn't know
who their coach is going to be.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, think about that, right? There's a very good chance that the interim head coach at Penn State is going to be on James Franklin's staff, but he's got to see it out, and he's a Penn State guy, alum. But if so, he's got to see it out and coach the bowl game still. So it's just like such a complicated situation. There's a lot going on, but I don't know how much I believe James Franklin. The comment he made about Peterson saying
you caught on to that.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Who's my tight ends coach going to be? I don't know. You just got to trust me. It's like I feel like he's got a really good hint of who his coaches are going to be.
Yeah.
Also, where's the tight ends room? It's probably where all the other position rooms are. Yeah. It's not a huge building. I think I know where it is. We get the point, though.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, Teel, what are your thoughts on the ACC starting basketball? ACC-SEC Challenge just wraps up. SEC edges out the ACC 9-7. ACC had a 6-3 lead. Boston College had a tough loss yesterday LSU. That was a tough one for the ACC. But, I mean, it was still a pretty good week for the league, but just kind of your thoughts on the ACC starting hoops as a whole.
Carter, I believe the ACC for the entire regular season a year ago won 5 games against the SEC. They already have 10.
Yeah.
That's a big step. And the SEC is still the top-ranked Ken Pom conference. Obviously very early in the net rankings and such, but there are 8 ACC teams in the top 50. Virginia had a heck of a win last night on the road at Texas. By far, Virginia's best defensive performance of the season, and defense had been where the Cavaliers were lacking. Nice road win for the Hokies, but clearly, David, you know more than how long is Toby Law?
It sounds like, I mean, I would expect January. I mean, and I mean, if you're Virginia Tech, you got George Mason this Saturday. This is a big time game.
Undefeated George Mason.
Correct.
Thank
9-0. Really, really good. One of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. It's at home, but this is a game you need to win. And George Mason's like top 50 in the net.
Maybe in the 40s.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
So this would be a excuse me. This would be a big time resume win. Even though, like, it seems weird you play South Carolina and George Mason in the same week, but George Mason game would be bigger. They need Toby Laval back, and it sounds like it's going to be probably around January, hopefully around New Year's, but if not, maybe another week or 2 longer than that. So,
but then you missed the first UVA game.
Yeah, I mean, the UVA game's New Year's Eve, so it's they need him back. I will say I was impressed with how the Hokies handled that game. I mean, I thought the foul discrepancy was a little bit one-sided, but I mean, Tech lost Tyler Johnson and Neoklas of Dallas to foul trouble. Both fouled out late in the game, and those two plus Amani Hansberry had to sit in the first half for long stretches of that half because of foul trouble. Antonio Dorn played 31 minutes for the Hokies, and he made some big plays. He had that seal off on Ben Hammond's game-winning basket, but as far as like the day overall for the ACC, I mean, Carolina gets a win at Kentucky. Syracuse beats Tennessee. A lot of good wins. Kind of disappointed that the league couldn't close it out yesterday.
Yeah. Missouri was undefeated until Notre Dame took them down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you see what the I'm blanking on the Missouri head coach's name.
Dennis Gates?
Yeah.
Yes. Did you see what he said, his message to the Notre Dame fans? He said he was disappointed in his press conference at how empty the arena was at Notre Dame. And he's like, I played here when Mike Bray. I was here when Mike Bray was here. And like, the reason Notre Dame won so many games is because they packed this building. And he's like, Notre Dame fans, you got to come out and support Shrewsbury. I just thought that was very interesting. And Notre Dame won that game too. So, yeah, I think the ACC is in a much better spot, but you got to keep it rolling. And I'm very curious to see how these next couple weeks play out.
Yeah, the Carolina and Syracuse wins were big over Kentucky and Tennessee. So we'll see. Well, Teel, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. I know it's always fun to talk whatever. Like last night we're at Cabo and the waitress is like, I guess overheard us talking about doing a podcast. You guys don't even know this story. The waitress overheard us talking about a podcast and she came over and was like, "What's your podcast about?" And everybody started giggling, and I look at David Teel right here. I'm like, "It's his podcast." And as humble as David Teel is, he's like, yeah. And she's like, "Oh, what's it about?" And he's like, "We talk college football." And I was like, "No, that's a Virginia Sports Hall of Famer right there." She's like, "Oh, what sport did you play?" and
Isn't that great?
That's hilarious.
Anyway, always enjoy it. Thanks for coming in and look forward to talking soon.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know you've got a pretty busy couple days coming up.
Yeah.
You're going to Harrisonburg Friday.
Yeah.
And then to Charlotte. Are you going to cover the basketball game?
I am.
So UVA's
my
got Dayton.
gosh.
UVA's got Dayton in Charlotte in men's basketball.
At noon.
Yeah. It's gonna be
So night game in Harrisonburg tomorrow night. I'm going to go home after this, drive home, watch my daughter cheerlead tonight, drive back to Harrisonburg tomorrow, drive back here after the JMU game, spend the night here, scoot down to Charlotte for a noon tip, then walk across town for
ACC championship.
ACC championship game.
Wow.
Love it. Love it. Well, we'll chat next week after maybe Virginia's going to the college football playoff. But
That could be really
Let's put it this way. Somebody from the state of Virginia is going to be in the college football
That's a
playoff.
great point.
It's a win for the Commonwealth in some regard, I guess. Will we find out? I guess we'll know the playoff bracket on Sunday.
Sunday at noon.
Yeah. So there we go. We'll have plenty to talk about next week.
Yes. For the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, David Teel, for David Cunningham, Andy Bitter, Nick Brown, I'm Carter Hill saying so long from Blacksburg. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you very soon.